But you can head over to those websites, check out how jobs are advertised. Then also look out for flight and visa payment arrangements. So if you're wondering what is going to happen after applying for your QTS, I've got all the information you need, including some of the things you can start doing now whilst you wait for your qualification to arrive. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this video. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bridget, a UK registered nurse. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you. If you've been watching my videos and haven't subscribed, please subscribe before you leave. In today's video, I will talk about some of the things you can expect to happen after you've applied for your QTS and certain things you can also start preparing towards or you can start doing to help you get your job quickly and move to the UK when you finally get your qualification from the UK. But before I go into today's agenda, let's look at something. In my previous video, I stated on the screen that subject equivalence is not accepted for some countries. So if you check the Ghana and Nigeria portal, they tell you emphatically that economics cannot apply to teach mathematics. However, you can email Teaching Regulation Agency to find out. For example, if you have statistics, I think statistics is very close to mathematics. So just find out from them, okay, if you can apply. Better still, you can just apply and wait for the outcome, all right? So now let's look at some of the things that can happen after you've applied for your QTS. The first thing you can look out for is being contacted by Teaching Regulation Agency to provide further details. It can be in the form of documents, work experience, qualifications, anything at all. You can look out for something like that. I'm not saying that is what is going to happen. It's an option. The second thing that can happen is your application may delay. You may not hear from them on time. Mind you, it can take up to 4 months before you hear from them. But in case it goes way beyond and you're not hearing from them, you can follow up. But when doing so, remember to quote your reference number. Then to my dear Nigerians, your case is slightly different. So if you've already applied, it's time for you to contact TRCN through their email for your letter of professional standing. I'll put the list of the requirements you need to include in your email when you're sending to TRCN on the screen for you to see, all right? And quote your reference number you got from applying for the QTS as well. So basically, before you can contact TRCN for your letter of professional standing, you need to have applied to UKTRA for your QTS. But please note that this letter will be emailed to the Teaching Regulation Agency UK on your behalf by TRCN, so you won't get to see the letter. Then the other option I know nobody wants to hear about is being contacted that your application was not successful. However, this last part is what everyone wants. Being contacted that you've been successful with your application and then you've got your qualification to practice as a teacher in the UK. That's the best option on the list at the moment. Now, after you've gained your qualification to practice, what do? This is the time for you to start preparing your CV, an outstanding CV. Mind you, you're not the only one who have applied for QTS, and you won't be the only one applying or looking for jobs. So your CV should stand out. That's why I have a CV writing sample on my channel to guide you to write your CV to the UK professional standard, all right? Then after drafting CV, the next thing is to start looking for jobs. I will leave links to job sites where you can find teaching jobs in the description box. A whole lot of websites, including agencies. When it comes to job sites for teachers, you can check out Total Jobs, Education Jobs, Teaching Jobs, Indeed, LinkedIn. You can even go on Google, type in or search for teaching jobs in UK with visa sponsorship, and you may find some available vacancies for you to check out, all right? My advice to you is, if you've already applied for your QTS, don't start applying for the jobs now. Kindly hold on, okay? But you can head over to those websites, check out how jobs are advertised, pick out some keywords, and then when you're developing your CV, it will help you to develop a very good CV. Now, whilst preparing or going through your job application process, you will also have to consider preparing for your interview. So you go through an interview, but it might be informal, depending on what your employer wants, okay? So informal can be just a phone call, find out who you are, get to know you and stuff like that. But if it's going to be a formal interview, it's normally through meeting platforms like the Zoom, the Teams and the rest. So try to familiarize yourself with how to use these online meeting platforms. And there are some things your employer may ask to see about your teaching during your interview. It's not entirely the case. Some employers may ask, some employers may never ask. So the first thing to consider is a video portfolio of your teaching practice. So something about a short video of you teaching, just for them to know how you deliver. Another thing could be that your employer will ask to see your lesson plan. Another option is that your employer can give you a written task, like an assignment for you to complete. So it can be a lesson for you to develop a plan for it. So you look out for these things, start preparing those documents. If you think it's going to be a big deal for you to get them, start gathering them. Now, when we are finally successful with our interview, we get an offer. That's an offer letter from the employer. So it's going to come in the form of a contract. So some employers will give you a contract of 3 years, 5 years, whatever years it is, but it's subject to renewal. And then you also renew your visa once you renew your contract, because the number of years that will be on your visa will be equivalent to the number of years on your contract. Mostly that's how it works. So if you see a job advert mentioning a specific number of years, it's just to make your visa application easy for you, okay? So that you know that you are picking 3 years or 5 years or whatever it is. It will help them to also process your sponsorship. When you get your offer letter, please read carefully and take note of the following. Accommodation arrangements. Is the employer going to offer you free accommodation? Are they going to offer you accommodation and deduct from your salary? Or they are going to offer you accommodation on a subsidized level? How is it? How long are they offering you this? Or are you going to look for your own accommodation? How is your employer going to help you through it? Look out for all these things. If it's not in there, you can contact your employer to find out and they will sort you out, all right? The other thing to look out for in your offer letter is reimbursements. So for example, Nigerians who are paying 60,000 to TRCN, you may be lucky. An employer can decide to reimburse this money, pay the money back to you. Then also look out for flight and visa payment arrangements. Are you going to pay for your own flight and visa, or your employer is going to pay for your flight and visa, or they'll pay for flights, not visa? Whichever way. Some will also ask you to pay when you come, they pay back. So you look out for all these things. That's why I said you should read the offer carefully. Then also there could be airport pickup arrangements. Maybe your employer will arrange a taxi to pick you up and they will tell you how it's going to be done. But most of the time, airport pickups are discussed when you are ready to arrive in the UK. Then if you're happy with your offer, what you have to do is to accept the offer. So you turn in an acceptance letter so that your employer will know you're happy to go on with them. When you're happy with your offer and you accept it, you also go through employment checks. So one of these checks include a police clearance. So a police clearance certificate from your country of practice to prove that you are of good standing, and also references. But it's better to get the offer before you go in for your police clearance. And then you also have to go through a DBS check. But that will be done after you get your visa. Most employers will do it when you arrive in UK. And at this point also, some employers may request to have an online meeting with your referee. So when choosing your referees, please be sure to choose someone who is familiar with online meeting platforms as well. So after the employment checks and successful referencing, employers will ask you to submit some documents for your certificate of sponsorship. So in other words, the certificate of sponsorship in conjunction with the offer letter increases your visa approval, but the documents you also provide to support these documents counts. Yeah, so what this means is you need this certificate of sponsorship for a successful visa application. Now, when you get your certificate of sponsorship, there's one thing I want you to look out for: maintenance. So on this certificate of sponsorship, the employer takes yes for maintenance for this employee. So if the employer takes yes against maintenance, it simply means the employer is telling the UK Visa and Immigration Office that when you arrive in UK, they are going to take care of your needs, or they are going to take care of you at least for the first 1 month until you get your first salary. So you're not going to be stranded. So whether you have money or not, they should grant you permission to enter the country. However, it can be that your employer takes yes on your maintenance for you as the main applicant without your dependents. It can also be for you and your dependents. Or it can be a no for both of you. Then you need to provide proof of funds. And it's a certain amount of money that should be in your account for a certain amount of time before you can use it to apply for your visa. Now, before you can get your COS, your employer will request for some documents from you to process your COS. All these documents are equivalent to the documents you will use in your visa application. So for the required documents for the visa application and all the details surrounding maintenance and visa fees, check out my video on the visa application. Now let's look at something. When you apply for a skilled worker visa, you need proof of English language. But teachers, I'm considering you may be exempt. Let me explain. The reason you may be exempt is because you've already applied for teaching qualification, which is a recognized UK standard. So since the Teaching Regulation Agency has accepted you to come and teach in the UK or to be eligible to teach in the UK Visas and Immigration might actually accept your documents without proof of English language. However, if you need to prove English language for your visa, these are the requirements. One is either you are from an English-speaking country and all you need is your ID card or your passport. The second option is if you trained or schooled in the UK when you were below 18 years. Then there's the option for you to write an English test from an approved provider. But mind you, if you are writing IELTS, it should be UKVI. Then the last option we are looking at is using your medium of instruction letter or your English proficiency letter in conjunction with your transcript and school certificate to apply for a NARIC certificate through ECCTIS. So they are just going to compare your qualification to that of the UK qualification to tell that you were taught in English and you can speak and understand English. That's why I'm saying you could be exempt, because you've already provided this document to the Teaching Regulation Agency, who has passed your document through all the procedures. So UKVI or UK Visas and Immigration might not request proof of English language from you when you're applying for your visa. The cost of the NARIC certificate is £140 plus VAT. Then after your visa application, you will need to book visa biometric appointment at the visa application center, which you will choose at the beginning of your visa application so you know where you are doing it. But before you can book your visa biometric appointment, you need to complete your visa application payment. So if your employer told you they are going to pay for you, they will tell you how to send your details to them so that they can complete the payment for you. If not, you gather money and pay yourself. And also consider this: if your passport is expiring soon, you may want to renew it. You don't want to be stranded when everything is moving smoothly and then the only thing holding you back is your passport. At least at the time of applying for your visa, I mean visa, not jobs, your passport should have at least 6 months to expiration. So when you get your visa approved, you have to prepare and arrive to UK. If your employer is paying for your flights, good news for you, they'll pay for your flights and send you your itinerary. If not, then you have to gather money and pay. Once you pay for your flights and arrive in the UK, employers are being advised by UK government to help you with the following, to help you to stay when you arrive, okay? So the first on my list is accommodation. Employers are advised to help you with accommodation. So even if they are not going to provide you with free accommodation, at least they should help you to sort out your accommodation. Get you one, you pay for yourself, or get you one, deduct from your salary, something to make you more comfortable. The second thing is to help you to apply for NI. That's your national insurance. Now, sometimes you get your national insurance at the back of your biometric residence permit when you arrive. However, UK is considering taking off the biometric residence permit card because they are no more part of the EU. So you may not get it. So in this case, if you don't get the BRP card, it's likely you won't see your NI or you won't have an NI. So your employer is being advised to help you to apply for a national insurance. They are also expected to help you with your GP registration. So GP is like your personal doctor, but it's more like a clinic. So you register in a clinic that you can phone in anytime you are not well, book appointments and see the GP or the doctor. And then also to help you to set up bank accounts. When it comes to building societies or banks that have buildings that you can go into, most of them require credit checks and all that before you can open an account. So employers will usually give you an introductory letter to these banks to help you open your accounts easily. However, when you arrive, there are also some online banks which are strictly online that you can create accounts in. And two of these online banks to consider is Monzo and Revolut. Now, the last thing is for them to help you to set up utility accounts. So if your employer gave you an accommodation but you are going to pay for your utilities and everything, then you are supposed to set up an account. What happens is the agent or whoever brought you into the house or got the house for you will give you details of who your energy supplier is, and then you contact your energy supplier, set up an account with them. If possible, switch if you don't want that same supplier, and then you get to pay your bills when they are due. And now, when you also arrive, I will advise you to do the following. Register to vote. It's an offense as a resident in the UK not to register to vote unless you are a visitor. And you know what? Registering to vote increases your credit score as well. Credit score is more like your affordability, your ability or your power to borrow money or borrow something. So you actually love to register to vote. Then the second thing is you may consider applying for provisional driving license. If you haven't checked out my video on international driving license, check it out before you apply for international driving license, okay? Then when you arrive in UK, you can apply for your provisional driving license. You may also want to register with a dentist. You also check them out in your area and register. You will also consider downloading a money transfer app, especially if you left your family back home. You will want to send them some money. So I'll recommend few in the description box: Transfer, Go, Lemonade Finance, and the rest. You check them out, check the rates, and see which one will benefit you, and then you download them and use them. Now, my last advice is, if your accommodation is temporary, if your employer offered you a temporary accommodation, start looking for accommodation immediately you arrive. Accommodation search is not a one-day thing over here, okay? You go through referencing and a whole lot of things. So please, start searching as soon as you arrive. Then also, prior to your arrival, before you arrive, you can start doing these things now. Familiarize yourself with how to use Google Maps. It's going to give you all your directions. I use Google Maps to plan my bus rides. I use it to plan my train rides. Also, when I'm sitting in the bus, it shows me the bus stops, so I know when I'm getting off the bus. Also, check out videos on how to board the bus, how to get off the bus, because you will hardly see anyone talking to the driver. It's like the bus stops and people are getting down and you don't know where you're getting off, okay? Check out videos on how to board the bus, how to get off the bus. Now, the last advice I'm giving you is you may also want to consider learning a skill, like how to barb hair, wash hair, relax hair, fix nails, polish nails, and all those things. Artificial nails. You can do it for yourself, you can do it for your colleagues, you can do it for a token. It's entirely up to you how you want to utilize that skill. Then finally, when you arrive in the UK and you start work, when you have less than 2 years teaching experience, you undergo mentorship, okay? However, I think everyone will be trained on the job as well. UK is really good when it comes to training. They will train you to understand your responsibilities, the do's and the don'ts, and every single detail. So don't worry about fitting in. You are going to fit in very well. So if you were wondering what's going to happen after your application, that's all the information I've got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Keep liking the video, comment on the video, and share as well. If you haven't subscribed, please do so before you leave. And I'll see you again in my next video.